Welcome to Shining the Light. My name is S.E. Walibwa, and my guest today is one and the only, Ntandoyaphezulu. She's going to correct me because I told her that I'm going to pronounce it the way we pronounce it from my side.
No, that's not bad at all. At least.
So she's going to say, so she's God's child, a Zulu Goddess, mother, wordsmith, entrepreneur, and she's a cultural practitioner. Good afternoon, my sister.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my brother. The name is Ntandoyaphezulu. So
see that? I like that. I like that. What does it mean?
The will of the heavens.
Will of the heavens.
Yes.
Wow. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Look, my sister, let's start with your background, where you were born, where you were raised. You know, I think it's always incredible to know somebody's background, before you delve deep into what they do, right? Because that's what made them.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that speaks to who we are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. And, just for finding my boring life interesting enough for me to be featured in this prestigious platform. Like I said, the name is Ntandoyaphezulu Kunene. I was born in Durban, South Africa, many moons ago. I come from the era of apartheid, where if your parent had a particular profession, they will be placed wherever, irrespective of how far or how close it is from where they come from. So when I was born, my father, who was a teacher, was based in a town called Empangeni in KwaZulu-Natal. But my family comes from Amahlongwa Mission, which is a little village on the other side of Mkomas in the south coast.
Yeah.
And we also had a house in the township, at Umlazi Township. So I grew up at both Umlazi Township and Amahlongwa Mission.
Wow. That's really incredible. I love that. I always wanted to go to Devon. A lot of people from my country, they visit Devon because, Devon is one of if they want to go to the ocean, they used to go a lot to Devon. I think now most of them, they go to Cape Town,
Yes.
but there's still a lot who go to Devon, So you schooled in the KwaZulu area, right?
Yes, I went to school, primary school, higher primary, and high school in Umlazi Township. And then when I finished, I got an opportunity to study at the University of California in Los Angeles, and came here to do my college degree.
Wow! So you came here for school. You came to the United States for school, basically.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you also, do you write poems, or do you write, what kind of material do you write?
Actually, my writing career has. Let me not just say my writing career. My life.
Because I want you to start back, because I think I saw somewhere where you really started writing. You were working for a media outlet in South Africa somewhere, right?
Okay, but not necessarily just my writing. My life is sort of it's not something that I actually planned. Like, I never planned for writing to be one of the major things that I do, but it turned out that way. So let me start by saying that after college, actually when I was in college, I met somebody from Botswana, and I moved to Botswana. I was in Botswana for a while.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. I was a partner in an advertising agency in Botswana in the early 90s.
Wow.
So my writing basically started there, because we were writing. We were running an advertising agency. I started doing the public relation side of things, because writing for me just came naturally. It's not something that I went to school for. It's not something that I learned anywhere. It just came naturally to me. So as a person that wrote there, I figured out that, okay, I have a skill in stringing words together, because I would do company profiles for people. So when I moved back to South Africa after living in Botswana for a bit, I started a desktop publishing company where now I was, freelancing as a writer, writing for people. I had uh, word of mouth spread really. I had big clients like the KZN Office of the Premier. I used to write for Abo Mtunzi Namba, the musician, Linelani Mkize, and
Wow.
Dunga of the Durban Jazz Festival. I started writing proposals for people and, just fell into it that way as something that I wanted to do. And people started paying me for it. So that's how it started. So while I was writing for people, one of the guys who is a script writer for Ukhozi FM, which is like Ukhozi FM used to be Radio Zulu. It's like the world's second biggest radio station. They have a drama department, so they have script writers that write radio dramas, and they, the radio dramas that we grew up listening to.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I
so
love that. You know.
so one of the guys that was a writer there who also happens to have been my neighbor for a while, he had written a drama that he wanted to translate into English. Up until that point, I had only been writing for corporate clients, been writing in English. I had never, dealt with anything that was written in Zulu. So he had this script for a 40 episode drama that he wanted me to translate for him into English, because it was an educational drama that was going to be broadcast on both Ukhozi FM, and I think it was what the station before it was called Lotus FM, if I'm not mistaken. So because they wanted to touch other communities, it had to be translated into English. So when he gave me this script, I, for the first time, got to engage with the process of script writing. Now, stringing. Remember, I don't have technique. I wasn't taught. Writing for me came naturally.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now I had an opportunity to see how a script is carried over from episode to episode, how you write a cliffhanger and all those technicalities by translating his particular script. So he started, like engaging me each time he needed translations. But this one particular time, he invited me to a recording, of one of the scripts that he had written. Now, this was for Ukhozi FM, and the script was in Zulu. So when I was at the SABC studios, and the actors were reading the scripts and they were recording, the person that was producing the script was Obab Eric Ngobo. Eric Ngobo is a seasoned broadcaster.
That name rings a bell for sure.
I'm sure
Yeah.
for people in South Africa that have listened to Ukhozi FM, they would know his name. There used to be a story where he did the voice for a character called Skitty. They would say Batate Skit,
Yes,
people
yes.
would know his voice from a particular radio drama. So he was producing. And he also happened to be my neighbor. So all three of us were neighbors, but we had never engaged, as writers. So Ubaba Ngcobo, he used to use a typewriter. So he typed, all his scripts, you type them with a typewriter. But also what he does, he writes manuscripts. The manuscripts that he writes are in Zulu, and some of them, they use them in schools and stuff. So he had a manuscript that he was writing, and he needed to submit it to publishers. So because he was typing with the typewriter, the manuscript needed to be on disk. And here I had a laptop, I had a printer, because I was working as a freelance writer. So he started hiring me. Jabulani Jali, the guy that had introduced me to him, also he ended up becoming my biggest paying clients. Actually, both of them ended up being my biggest paying writing clients because they had so much work for me. So that's how my writing for radio dramas began. So at some point, Ukhozi FM decided that they wanted to have a radio soapy, right? It was going to be, because they had a drama that played in the morning and in the evening, but they wanted something that will attract the younger people into storytelling, into drama and all of that. So they wanted to train a new crop of writers and also have something that's going to play every day continuously, like you would have your Days of Our Lives and whatnot, but to be played on radio. So they appointed Ubab Eric Ngobo to be a head writer. And he said, well, I have a person that I'm working with who is assisting me in terms of the technical side of things. So if you're giving me this gig, can you also give her the gig? So that's how I got the gig. I got trained. We were workshopped by a lady called Winnie Serite, who is the producer of Skim Sam on television. She came and she workshopped us and taught us how to write a radio soapy. That's how I started writing for radio.
Wow. So why did you stop? You still doing it?
No, my part of the gig ended in 2018. So I stopped writing professionally for radio then.
In 2018?
2018, yeah. I started writing for SABC in 2009. And my part of the gig, as in I was let go in 2018 because they were continuing with writers that were based locally in South Africa.
Wow. That's wonderful. So basically you're still doing it. It's just like, you haven't done it since 2018. I was thinking go ahead.
Writing for radio, no, not anymore. But in terms of writing, I'm doing it in terms of developing my own stuff.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Good.
I'm doing that on the side.
Good. As we were talking, I was thinking like, the movie Black Panther, they had
Yes.
to get some people from South African people to help them write some of those, those causa, words that. So
I was here. Nobody
I
told me.
know. Well, you are a friend with Bo Label, right? So are you working with Label? Label should be able to work with you, man.
Yeah, you mean Level M? Level M is
Label M, yeah.
yeah. Okay. I do a few things because the jewelry alone is a passion project that
And
doesn't
we're gonna get there.
that doesn't give consistent money. But one of the other things that I do, which basically was killed by COVID, that I had started doing towards the end of 2019, I provide a concierge a service to people. So depending on what your needs are, like for instance, when Lebo is in the US and he needs PA services, or he's traveling with his family and he wants to curate experiences in terms of, like, maybe he's traveling with his partner and his partner needs her hair done. I would, have a group of people that I work with so that she doesn't have to go and sit in a salon somewhere. The person can go to where they are and they do, their hair. So I have a service that does that. I had only been doing for like a few exclusive clients that don't really want to be public, but it's like a set of curated services based on what they need. It's like you find that there are some people that want to travel the US, but they don't necessarily have a big budget and they don't want to stay to a prestigious hotel, but they still want to come and bring their families. So I'm able to like curate inexpensive experiences where they will come to the US and have that enjoyment, but at a budget. So I would know, based on their budget, on the things that they want to do, what kind of activities I can, organize for them and all of that. So he's one of my clients for that side of the business.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. As we were talking about label, I thought about when I was in college. So Lebo and his folks came to the Bay Area. So they were looking for some South African folks to come and do audition, right? So,
Yeah.
so a friend of mine, was like, man, I have to go to this audition. You want to come? I'm like, I don't know how to sing. I don't even know how to. So, so overnight, I was practicing this song, but I can't even remember. So we went there in the morning.
Oops,
So I
sorry.
started singing. Lebo looked at me like, no, no.
Wow.
Can you try? You say, can you try the Botswana national anthem, something like that?
Mm, mm, mm. Wow.
Then I was like, no, man, I just came here really, just to kick it. My friend is the one who really came here. I just want to see if you guys want more people, extra people,
You never know. You never know. Usually people they go accompanying friends and they get discovered for other things. So it depends.
Right, right. So, but no, he was very nice, man. I just mentioned it because I've seen you a couple of times with Label.
Mm.
Um, so how did you start the the jewelry business? Now you are here in the United States of America. You graduated, and I think you said at some point you went back home and you to do some help with family, and then you came back.
Um, okay, I went back home. Like I moved from Botswana, moved back to South Africa, and
Mhm.
started living my life. Worked as a freelancer.
So Wabua Swana Hanyane or no?
Ooh, Giapalet. Giapalet. Oh my goodness, my Setswana leaves a whole lot to be desired. I mean, I was in Botswana for 6 years and I
Yeah,
have a Zulu tongue. So the Zulu
right,
tongue is
right, right.
but Setswana Saka, no, don't even.
Yeah.
But I think I regret not putting effort. I
Uh-huh.
regret not putting effort. I should have learned
Hmm.
because I have a child who's a Motswana and West Kimukalaka, so I should have learned.
Really?
I should have learned something. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
But it's something that
Hmm.
well, I do understand when people speak. I think if I made an effort with languages, I would learn because I'm able to distinguish between Setswana and Sesotho.
Hmm.
A little bit Setswana, yes, even though I would miss a word here and there, but you wouldn't gossip about me in my presence.
Right, right, right.
So moved from Botswana, moved back to South Africa,
Hmm.
worked as a freelancer, whatever. I mean, I did, other than writing, I'm the type of person that if something interests me, I would go for it.
Uh-huh.
So my personality is very a curious personality,
Hmm.
one. And two, um, I don't know, whatever speaks to my heart, I would do it. So I've done a lot of things in terms of
Hmm.
business. I've done events. I've done all of this.
Hmm.
So when I was in South Africa, I was basically freelancing in everything that I was doing. I
Hmm.
wasn't in the corporate world. I'm not a 9 to 5 type of person.
It's tough for
So
me.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
we're just not wired the same, all of us.
Right, right, right.
So I had a family emergency. I have
Hmm.
family here. I have a couple of sisters that live here. So one of my sisters had a mental illness. So I
Hmm.
had to come back and try and figure out, how she can be assisted.
Hmm.
And then I came back to try and figure that part out. But the whole process ended up taking a long time, like longer than I had anticipated. So I ended up having to stick around for much longer.
Hmm.
So it was like, okay, as a person that is a freelancer, what can you do? Right.
Hmm.
So for me, in anything that I engage myself in, it's always about what do you like to do? So what I
Hmm.
like to do is anything that is related to my culture because that's
Hmm.
the language that I can speak. That's who I
Hmm.
am. That's what I know. So at the time, I had noticed that there was a lot of South African jewelry that is being
Hmm.
um, sold as Maasai jewelry.
Hmm.
Nobody's fault. I think it stems from the fact that South Africa is a very new democracy.
Hmm.
we have been out of, I mean, in the time that we have been out of
So, so you said they were selling South African beads
Masai.
as Maasai.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's nobody's fault. Okay, it's nobody's fault. This is what happened.
It's kind of offending when you come from Africa, though. So,
Okay, no, I mean, I understand from a historical perspective,
yeah.
because all the other countries have been free for much, much, much longer than South Africa.
Hmm.
All the other African countries,
Hmm.
they've been free. They've had an opportunity to package their cultural items and have taken them to the world. Like Kenya, for instance, Kenya, the cultural industries in Kenya are very well established. So because of that, and they've been doing it for a while. So the staff that has been up until then, the staff that has been out has been from Kenya. And because we're all Bantu, because Nguni is very close to, as Nguni people are very close to East Africans, the colors are similar. Even our foods are similar. Even our languages, they are similar. So because their stuff has been out there longer, even our stuff, when it comes out, nobody can tell the difference, because nobody is saying that no, this comes from this particular culture. South Africa, because South Africa was out of the limelight for a long time during apartheid, and the South African government was keen on bastardizing our cultures. We did not have the pride that we need to have in our own cultural idioms, in our own cultural products. So, and also, there was a cultural boycott. So the only thing that the world knows about South African culture are your individuals that have come out and have made the world, they've made a mark in the world, like your Mama Esther Mahlangu, like Black Coffee, what he's done with music. But there hasn't been a concerted effort from the South African government to say these are our cultural products, and this as a country, this is how we're going to package them, and this is how we're going to sell them to the world. They're not prioritizing culture as something that needs to be preserved and as something that needs to be taken in a proper packaging, so that the world will be able to make a difference from what comes from Kenya to what comes from Zambia to what comes from Botswana, what comes from South Africa. So, as a person that is a cultural practitioner, for me, what I know is my culture. I
I
can,
like that.
yeah, I can tell you about my culture. I can tell you about, the things that speak to who I am. So I figured, well, I'm in a position to package these products and sell them properly, so that in as much as everybody is wearing them, let's know that this originates from the intricate beading, weaving, with beading practices of the Zulu people.
Yeah, and if it's that coming from the causes, you'll be able to say these are coming from the causes. These are coming from the
Yes,
paddies.
this, yes.
Unlike un-
Hmm.
unlike those who said that okay, this is the Maasai. Even some of them, I'm pretty sure they were not even the Maasai. They were just like coming from maybe the Kuki or whatever it is. They were just generalizing the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
Mm,
So my dream is umbhaco from the Xhosas should be at the same level as your colorful Tonga um, fabrics and your kente. All these, your kente and your Ankara, all these fabrics, they deserve an equal footing in the world.
I
You know,
love it.
just as much as we are all, in awe of your Gucci's, of all these other brands that come from outside. We need to elevate what is our own and make sure that we package it properly and sell it to the world ourselves and sell it properly.
Wow.
Also, I mean, South Africans, they have this thing of, like, for instance, if you are from imagine being from Lesotho,
Mm-hmm.
right? Lesotho is in the middle of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, the people that are in Lesotho, instead of saying they're from Lesotho, it just makes sense to say they are South African, even though it's important for this Basotho story to be told. I believe that we are 54 countries for a reason, and each of those 54 countries is important. Why? Because for years and years and years and centuries and centuries and centuries, while people have been telling our story the way that they understand it, now we have an opportunity, because nobody controls the media now. We have an opportunity. Look at you, you have started your own platform. Why? To be able to tell the stories of the people from their own mouths. So we
Right.
have an opportunity to tell our own stories.
Right. Love
Let's
it.
get the record straight.
I love it. I love it. And you were talking about, I mean, even in school, when we were going to school, I mean,
Mm.
if the history books that we were reading, they were not even written by our own people. They were not written by. They were
Like,
just like written by white people writing our own history. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that.
they
We should.
shouldn't.
I'm saying we should correct that.
Yes. I'm still saying they shouldn't, because you
They
see,
shouldn't, huh?
yeah, I'm still saying they shouldn't, because
Yeah,
a lot of things get lost in translation.
correct.
A lot of things. I mean, like, I'll give you a simple thing as a Zulu greeting, right? A greeting, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I grew up when you meet someone, you say Sanbonani.
Mm-hmm.
Sanbonani is plural, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sawubona is singular,
Okay.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
we say Sanbonani because we believe as Africans that you don't walk alone. You walk with your guardian angels. In English, your ancestors walk along with you. So when you see someone, you recognize that person as a human being, and also you recognize those that walk along with that person. So you say Sanbonani as recognition for the fact that you don't walk alone. Why people come, they think we're stupid by saying Sanbonani to one person because they do not understand the meaning behind it. And then things are translated. You even find the slogan of South African Airways saying Sawubona. It's not Sawubona. There's no Sawubona anything. You don't Sawubona anybody, because we know that as a people, we don't walk alone. But if these things are not preserved, it's going to be Sawubona for the rest of our lives. Why? Because we are translating things to accommodate white people. They do not care about accommodating who we are.
Wow. I think we should just stop over there and go home because I think that's this is a master class. This is good, my sister. This is really good. I believe that we should continue to decolonize and deconstruct the colonial works that are still out there in our countries, and it's amazing that some of our folks are still benefiting or are still using these tactics, and that's why we still have things like a neocolonialism, because we never really got rid of their tactics, right? So there's still avenues for them to go in there and do whatever they want to do, you
But
know.
then again, my brother, look at this. How many years? Like, they've had centuries of working on our minds.
Hmm.
They've had centuries and centuries, generations of generations of
Hmm.
them working on our minds,
Hmm.
trying to get rid of the African soul. You understand? They've
Hmm.
worked on us in so many ways.
Hmm.
So it's just gonna, I don't know what it's gonna take, but I just believe that those of us who are in a position to do something about it, let's just keep it going, because it's going to take a couple of generations to get rid of all that negative mentality that colonialism, apartheid, and all these systems that were brought to oppress us. The damage that has been done. I mean, we
It's
are,
huge.
yeah, we are, as parents that grew up in apartheid, There is nothing that said to us we are worthwhile. So how are we going to teach that to our kids? We never learned that from anywhere. We
Mm,
learned from white people that called us kafirs and treated us a certain way.
mm,
Like, if you do not take it upon yourself
mm,
to work on yourself, to do self-healing, what informs you that now it's okay for you to love yourself? That is the reason why, as a young democracy that we are, when our people took power, it was
mm,
all about their own pockets. Why? We have lost that Ubuntu that says, I can't be eating alone
mm,
with my people hungry. People are just thinking about, I'm going to be in this office for 5 years and
mm,
let me take care of myself. That's not who we are. But
mm.
where are we going to come back to who we are? Because we've lost all of that. The white man made it a point to get rid of that mentality of looking out for each other. It's one man to himself.
Wow. I just had a this is touching. I just had a conversation with a sister of mine. She's from Botswana, and she's now in Nigeria, and she's talking about how Nigerians are warm and welcoming. You know, they still practice, the boat, the seto. You know what I mean?
Yep,
But if you are out there and just sometimes reading about Nigerians, you get the wrong picture.
exactly.
And I'm not saying that, there's, bad apples are everywhere. They're in Botswana, they're in
Everywhere,
South Africa, they're in
everywhere,
Kenya, they're in Tanzania. But
and and you'll find that those are the ones that go and ruin the name of the others wherever they go. South
mhm,
Africans, they do the same thing. Everybody, even Americans, they do the same thing.
even America, there's a
It's
lot
human,
of
yeah,
bad
it's just a
apples here.
human thing. They're good and bad people.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there's
Well,
one thing that I like about Nigerians that I wish for all of us as Africans that they have,
mhm,
the pride that they have in their culture, the pride that they have in what they wear, the pride that they have in protecting in
mm.
protecting, everything that is Nigerian, that is cultural, that is West Africa. I mean, people in South Africa are enjoying jollof rice. Hello. You
Hello.
understand? Jollof rice, everybody around the world knows about jollof rice because the West Africans have found a way of packaging their cultural products, and the world knows that there's Ghanaian jollof, there's Nigerian jollof. We even know that there's a comparison between the two. Why? Because people in those particular cultures, they have kept everything about who they are. I wish that for South Africa. I wish that for each and every African country, for us to not
Mm,
forget who we are, because we
mm.
are a fabulous people.
Yes, yes, yes. I would like to see a lot, South African products being distributed into the world because I think South Africa has a lot of beautiful people, beautiful culture, um, beautiful art, you know.
Exactly.
But you see, Nigeria is doing pretty good because you see even in their music now
Exactly.
now their music is penetrating the American market. The
Not just the American market, you could be in Dubai. The
in
next person
Dubai,
playing Afrobeats. Hello. It's like there is nowhere in the world. I don't know which rock you would live under
their films too, right? Hmm.
if you do not know about Afrobeats, and they are making no mistake, they are packaging this themselves and taking all this stuff to the world, which is what I'm praying that happens with Amapiano for South Africa. For
What's
me,
Amapiano?
Amapiano is this new sound that is hitting the world by storm right now. It's like a
Okay.
new wave. Like every now and then, South Africa, they come up with these, different um local sounds. But
Okay.
now Amapiano is hitting the world by storm because, even bigger musicians, gravitating towards it. I look at there is so much that South Africa can bring to the world. There is so much, but I wish for us that we could be the ones to pioneer these things. Like the two biggest festivals that I've seen outside of South Africa, piano festivals, were done by non-South Africans. It's not a problem, it's not a bad thing, but I wish that we could take ownership of what is ours and sell it to the world. I like the fact that piano is out there in the world, it's a good thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I want us South Africans to take as much pride as other people see in our things. Like, look at Black Panther. Black Panther featured a lot of South African cultural idioms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good thing. The
Mm-hmm.
world is ready. We just need to be able to package these things ourselves and just take them to the world.
I'm thinking about how other cultures, even the Latinos, um, they they don't do a lot of assimilation. Even their children who were born here, right?
Mhm.
They were still taught like, you have to,
Yeah.
your culture is your culture, right?
Mhm.
You can go learn that, but don't be assimilated into their system, right?
And speak Spanish at home.
And speak Spanish at home.
Mhm. What do
So a
we do?
lot.
What do we do? What do we do as Africans? The first thing
Hey,
we do, we become white wannabes. It's not wrong. Oh my goodness. I don't want I don't want to come out as I don't want to come out as being judgmental because I'm not judging. I'm
right.
coming from a place of a cultural activist
Mm,
that we're gonna lose the things that are our soul, part of our
mm,
soul. We're going to lose them if we do not prioritize them. We're going to lose the things that are important to us. We're going to lose our languages.
mhm,
We're going to lose, our, uh, what are they called?
mhm.
The cultural things that we do, the rituals that we perform.
Yep. Mhm, mhm,
We're going to
mhm.
lose them if we do not prioritize them. It's
Right.
nice for your child to speak with an American twang. It's very nice. It opens opportunities. It makes it easy to assimilate. It makes their life so much easier. They
Mm,
still need to know where they come from. They still need to know who they come from. They still need to, they might not even know the language, but they still need to understand what makes them different to kids that were born of American parents, because it doesn't matter. You can speak American English and do everything American. The Africanness in you
mhm.
makes you different, and it doesn't go away.
Sometimes I work with the youth at the Urban League, teaching the principles of Ubuntu.
Mm.
And one day I brought this when the Black Panther was new, so we were watching the movie and they were picking up the Xhosa,
Mhm.
language that was there.
Mm.
And some of the kids, they were like, "Man, I mean, I don't really understand this, but it seems like I'm wired with this. I want more of this."
Yep.
So I was so proud of that. I was like, we need more um, our culture penetrating. But
Mm.
you know what is more pathetic? I have a
Mhm.
friend of mine who was telling me that some of his friends' kids cannot even speak Tswana.
Yeah, it
You know what I mean? Like they speak more.
it happens. It happens a lot, and it saddens me to see
Hmm.
us as parents, like even at home. It saddens me to see us as
Yeah,
parents.
I'm talking at home, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about home that
Mm.
some of the kids that you are deemed to be more intelligent or smart if you speak English better than even your language, which is I think is
It
pathetic.
saddens me. Yeah, it
Yeah.
saddens me. Even us as parents, when we begin to address our kids in English,
Hmm.
it saddens me because we denying them an opportunity to learn a second language. Do you know how an opportunity to learn a second language, it expands your mind.
Mm.
Because language, there's something about language. I don't know. I think I'm special because I can speak English and I can speak my Zulu perfectly. I can write my.
Eloquently. I love it.
You
Yeah.
understand? I think I'm special because I'm bilingual or try. I'm not even
Right.
bilingual. I'm,
Right.
you know, I decided of all the languages that I've learned, I decided to let go of Afrikaans because I just decided it's not something
Yeah.
that I want to
Yeah.
keep. But I understand Sixhosa, I understand Sesotho, I understand Setswana, even though I can't speak
But
Sesotho or
you
Setswana,
understand it, you know.
but I understand it.
Mhm.
I think that gives me an edge over somebody that doesn't.
Yeah.
And you know, if they are saying why for instance, I'm in Southern California, Hollywood is next door,
Hmm.
right? If they say they are looking for people that speak Xhosa, I can go and fake it and be able to pronounce properly. I think that gives me an edge, whether I
Yes.
can use it or not.
Yeah.
It's something that I am proud of because I am part of a proud people. So if we are too quick to want to become westernized, because you cannot be westernized enough for what for the West.
Let's go back to the house of Yimama.
Hmm.
Can you
Yes.
talk more about that? You know, how did you?
Mama is my
Mm,
baby.
mhm,
Yeah, like we were talking in terms of the jewelry being
mhm,
misclassified. I don't want to say misrepresented because
mhm,
misrepresented while we are it makes for me it makes it sound like we're saying people are stealing. People are not stealing. It was just misclassified because people
mhm,
do not have a sense of where it comes from.
mm,
So for me, it was about correcting that misclassification.
mm,
That, okay, these, as far as I know, come from the Zulu culture, and I want I wanted to package and sell them that way.
mm,
Why Zulu culture? One, I am Zulu, and I understand the meaning of colors and whatnot, and I can speak to if somebody has a question around the beadwork and whatever the question is, I can address them from a place of knowing because it's something that I like. It's something that I'm passionate about. Um, I mean, even before I started selling beads, it's something that I just loved. I just adored, the colors and everything.
mm,
So my thing was just to package the jewelry properly and sell it. And then the business itself took its own path. Like I was saying, I don't necessarily plan things. I
mm.
just follow along with the
Yeah.
plan. It took its own way and it grew its wings to be what it is now.
And Yimama, what does it mean, Yimama?
Also, Yimama is my great grandmother's name.
Hmm.
Yes, my great grandmother, my paternal grandmother, her
Mm,
mother's name was
mm,
Yimama.
mm,
So it's just the name that came when I
mm,
was when I was trying to figure out what to call my business because
mm,
the business
mhm,
it comes it came because of a a directive that I was given
mm,
by my grandmother's dream
mm,
that I need to take Zulu products to the world and bring things of the world
mm.
to the Zulu people.
Yeah.
So because it's something that came from paternal
Uh-huh.
grandmother, it made sense to name the business after her mother.
Mm. Wow. And now and now one day you were doing your business, and then somebody called you, and that was Viola Davis' assistant. Is that how it happened? How did Can you talk about the events that led to how we saw her, walking on the red carpet?
Yes, I got a, was it an email or inbox? I think it was it was an email. I got an email from Elizabeth Stewart, who happens to be Viola Davis's stylist. She styles a lot of celebrities. So yeah, I got an email from Elizabeth Stewart
Mm-hmm.
saying that like introduced herself as Ms. Viola Davis's stylist, and
Mm-hmm.
they had pieces that they like, they would like to borrow for her to wear the
Mm-hmm.
record. For
Yeah.
me, it was like, oh my God, like that's not something that I ever thought was ever gonna happen to me. You know, when you do this kind of business, and if you are passionate about this type of business as I am, you
Mm-hmm.
want relevant people to wear it, right? I had tried, like gave it to one South African celebrity, tried.
Oh, you
Um,
did that before? You tried that?
yeah, I tried because people are saying, why don't you, do use influencers. I
Yeah.
gave a South African celebrity, um, she what happened? I don't know. Maybe I gave her a piece she doesn't like. I don't know. But
Mm,
she wore the bangles. She never, mentioned us. And
mm.
then if another um, what can I call her? She's this. I don't know what to call her. She's a digital content creator, very big. Gave her something as a gift, and then I don't know. I think she didn't like it. She left it outside, and then people found it and they came and they brought it to me, and I
Mm.
was like, oh no, I had given.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, oh no, I had given it to. So I had those type of experiences before, right? So in my
Mm,
mind, I was like, you know what? Forget this.
mm,
Whoever resonates to this jeweler will
mm,
buy it because I had
mhm.
tried it myself.
They still market here. People want this.
Yeah, there's a market for
Definitely.
it.
Yeah.
People are wearing it, and when
Hmm.
I go out there to sell, people are buying it, right?
Yeah.
So it
Hmm.
wasn't like a strategy that I wanted
Hmm.
celebrity. So I had come to a point where it was like, okay, um, well, I mean, I understand this type
Hmm.
of jewelry is niche jewelry. It's not for everyone. Like a lot of people do not wear loud jewelry, period.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I understood that it's not going to resonate with everybody that sees it.
Hmm.
So I just decided that, okay, I'll just continue pushing the brand and whatever will be, will be. And lo and behold,
Hmm.
Mrs. Elizabeth Stewart reached out on email saying that they wanted a particular piece recreated. And because of the timeline, in terms of the timeline, we didn't have enough time
Hmm.
to have the piece recreated by their deadline. Actually, she wanted it recreated so that it's part of a dress, that she was gonna
Hmm.
wear.
Right.
But it was gonna mean, us shipping the dress to South Africa, having it done, and then bringing it back. So
Hmm.
that took a long time. But then they said, okay, um, let's see what you have. From the pictures that I had on Instagram, let's see these particular pieces. Unfortunately, all the pieces that they wanted to see, I had. So I sent them the pieces, and she picked that particular piece, and now the whole world knows about us.
Wow. She's proud though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, for me, it was such an
I mean,
honor
yeah.
because it's somebody that I really love, like
Yeah.
from the part of her being an actress, because like as a writer, as you know, um, I watch a lot of TV dramas because that's one of the things that I would like to do in future, to write a TV drama.
Hmm.
So like on How to Get Away with Murder, I think
Hmm.
she is like fantastic. So
Yes.
for her personally as an actress, I just love the way that she's able to, to do what she does. And
Right.
on top of that, she is one of those celebrities that are empowering black designers, like your African designers, even, with what she wears. She
Hmm.
is very particular about the brands that she chooses to put, with her clothes. So for me, it was such an honor for it to be her, to be the one to say, to validate one, the work that I'm doing, because sometimes when you're doing this type of work,
That's actually was a validation that you
yes,
cannot quit.
sometimes when you're doing this type of work,
Mhm.
it's a thankless job because there is so much that goes into let's just bringing this jewelry into this country, right? The easiest thing for me to do is to go to Kenya, give them designs and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. They are cheaper, they are faster, the shipping is quicker. The logistics in Kenya is seamless. Everything is smooth sailing. Why? They've been doing this for a while. They've had experience in packaging their jewelry and bringing it to the world for a while. For us in South Africa, the logistics are a nightmare. The logistics are a nightmare. I'll tell you, like, for instance, with your suppliers. First of all, our people are learning the importance of deadlines. You know, when you work in the first world country, you are working like on the internet, right? Where if you are selling in a platform like Etsy, Etsy calculates how fast you respond to your inquiries. And those are the decisions that people use. I mean, those are the nitty-gritties that people use to make a decision to engage with you, like how fast service is, how efficient you are, your reviews. All those things are public, are in a public platform. So if you are dealing with people from our communities that take their time, they don't adhere to deadlines, they don't do quality control, there's still those things that you're dealing with, because like we were saying, South Africa is coming out of seclusion. So we do not understand the world standards, right? So if you are dealing with people that are doing this, that have been doing this recreationally, now we are saying do it for selling, for bulk sales. The mindset is still different. So now you have to teach people, when we say Monday, it has to be finished on Saturday, not on Tuesday, right? Quality control, things need to be done a certain way, packaging, all those things. So you still have to teach suppliers those nitty-gritty details, and you need to be patient, right?
Wow.
You go through a number of suppliers until you find a team that you will get to a place where you're able to work with them. Two, it's difficult to have things shipped to the US from South Africa. The South African postal services are almost cursed. I don't even know if this is a PG-rated show, but
No.
it's I love South Africa, but it's a complete shit show, because seriously, when you and the postal services is the most affordable way of making sure that you don't overprice. So if I have to use FedEx now, if I have to use UPS, if I have to use these other expensive ways of shipping, it's much more expensive, and I can't keep the prices that I started with, because I started using the post office. So with the post office, you can send in bulk, but now it takes
It takes
forever.
forever. So what? So what can the government do? The South African government do to make sure that things like that are sped up?
Prioritize the cultural industries. One, people that are that people that do the cultural stuff, they shouldn't be looked at as hobbyists. It should be looked as a way of them to earn a living, because if they can get the production part of it correctly, you can buy more and more and more. One, and if the government can assist with the shipping, because the postal services is what it is, that would alleviate a lot of pressure on our parts. And then you create a market. For me, that I've been doing this for like 7 years, you create a market. Your suppliers now will be the one that want to compete with you and start to set you customers overseas. Your customers will bypass you, right? And take your pictures of your work and go to other people and say, do this for me, do this for me. Even your competitors do that. So those are the environments that you find yourself in. Sometimes you want to stop because it's just too much work, it's just too much trouble. So when you get somebody like Viola Davis saying, this is something that is worth putting on my neck, the high profile person that I am, you are validated to say all the nitty gritties, all these little things that you deal with, behind the scenes are so much more worth it if the world gets to see what we as a culture have to offer.
Have you, because you just stated something that is important right now, that if we have somebody like Viola Davis, it means that that's a validation for the market right here. Have you tried to approach them and say, hey, can you help us with the logistics of bringing,
That's not her job.
no,
That's
I'm saying you. I'm saying you.
approach who? Approach.
Probably an organization, a proper organization in South Africa that is
Um.
maybe South African Tourism Board or something like that.
Okay. My business model is
Mhm.
is like this. That like right now I have a team.
Let me say something. One of the reasons why countries like Ghana, countries like Kenya and Rwanda,
Mm,
are excelling in actually exporting their countries, because those
government.
countries
Yes.
that are pretty much connected with those who are in the diaspora,
Mm-hmm,
working hand in hand, and they
mm-hmm,
listen to them, right?
mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's why I'm saying, like, maybe they somehow you could be listened.
Okay, let me tell you what has happened.
Mhm.
It's very difficult to navigate government structures.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's difficult to navigate government structures, one,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
two, because the cultural industry is not very well defined in the arts and culture department. There's not a particular door that I know I can go to and say, I need ABC done, right? Um, I have tried to stay away from government as much as possible because of problems that I can't get into in a public forum that I've encountered. There is a lot of bureaucracy. The Because there is no structure that says these are the industries of priority.
Mm.
It's not like you can go and knock at a particular door. You
Yeah.
understand?
Mm.
And two, um, once you marry yourself to government, it's not guaranteed that it's going to be long term,
Correct.
because another party might come in 5 years down the line that
Mhm.
has different priorities. And
Mhm.
then if you build your business around those type of relationships, it's very tricky.
Mhm.
So I try to steer away from anything that is gonna, in as much as I would like to engage my government,
Mhm.
like right now, while I'm also still trying to build my brand to what I feel it needs to be, because this brand is not just about House of Yimama. House of Yimama is just a brand of um,
Mhm.
jewelry, and now we're going to be adding clothing. But,
Okay.
but what is in my head, really,
Okay.
what is in my head is a, okay, this idea came a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
Lebo M's friend had a wedding,
Mhm.
and he was performing somewhere overseas and he couldn't make it, and he procured us to find a gift. I
Mm.
battled to find a South African gift
Mm.
anywhere, right?
Mm.
Anywhere in the African shops.
Mm.
In the Kuro shops, in things that sell African arts and crafts, everything is West African. Your masks, your whatevers, your whatevers, your whatevers. Nothing South African. I ended up taking the telephone wire baskets, a set of telephone wire baskets that I
Mm.
sell, because I don't just sell jewelry, I also do, Zulu arts and craft. I
Mm.
took a set of telephone wire baskets, packaged it properly, and the person that received the gift appreciated it. And also for me, it gave me pride in giving them a South African gift from a prominent South African. So what's in my head is there needs to be arts and crafts that come from South Africa, so that if you are South African and you want to gift somebody for their birthday, their whatever, instead of not instead of um, as together with your West African mask, you can put your wooden platter, your wooden meat platter from KwaZulu Natal type of thing. So I want those things to be readily available. So for me, it's not just about the jewelry. It's about the entire spectrum of cultural industries, because we need to preserve those skills. Those iron masters, those people that are woodworkers, the grass weavers, all those people that the only way that those skills are going to be preserved is if there is a market for them outside of South Africa.
I wanted to ask you how the diaspora can sort of kind of add value or work with, because sometimes it's not about just giving them something.
I
It's
love,
about how
love,
can we work together, right?
love that question.
Yeah.
I don't watch television. I haven't watched television in years. So I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and a lot of videos that I watch, well, videos that speak to spirituality, but more importantly, videos that talk about, videos that content that is curated by Africans, for Africans. So I see a lot of people in the diaspora planting monies, resources back into the continent. Love, 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 love that. There is a video that I watched where I saw this young woman in Kenya who is in real estate, who had this, big estate where she built these lovely houses. And in my mind, I'm like, I wouldn't mind buying a house in Kenya, if only to support that. You understand? My
Right.
mind is about us,
Yeah.
people that are here in the diaspora, taking whatever it is that we have learned, the things of the worst, because I still owe my grandmother something to take back, because in as much as I'm taking back money in terms of skills that I create, I still owe my grandmother something to take back from the West. You understand? So I see how there was the year of the return, where
Ghana.
yeah, in Ghana, and I'm glad that people are looking forward to going back again, for the year-end celebration. We need to be doing that as Africans in the diaspora. We need to take all these dollars that we're making and plowing them back into Africa, because we as Africans, we are our own answer. We don't have anybody to go. Imagine if we traded amongst each other. There's nothing that we need from the world. There is nothing that we need from the world. If we traded amongst each other, it would be a perfect scenario. We would elevate Africa to the majestic continent that it actually is. Why do you think everybody is stealing resources from Africa? Because we are rich of resources. So the moment we stop looking at ourselves as different, seeing ourselves as one, and traded amongst each other, learned each other's languages, ate each other's foods, imagine what would come out of Africa. I know it's not going to happen in my lifetime, but I'll die trying, even if it means to put one stone into that dream, because it's something that needs to happen. So I see a lot of people going back home, buying properties, even African Americans going to Africa, buying properties, investing in all kinds of industries. In IT, in all kinds of things. It's something that needs to happen, because we are all we have.
You mentioned I'm gonna let you go. You mentioned we're over 1 hour. You mentioned learning each other's languages, and I thought about the answer to the question that I wanted to ask you. Some people say it'd be better if African, you know, uh, nations at least pick one language that they can use, for the purpose of um, Pan-African proliferation, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to pick your brain on that. I know Malema is big on saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, like you said before, let's just learn each other's languages. If you almost want to go to Durban or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to KwaZulu Natal and learn some Zulu.
Mm. Do you know that the problem with with us as a
Hmm.
people is that um,
Hmm.
we have allowed the divisions to fester and continue, right? Yeah, I've heard this thing about Kiswahili being an African language,
Hmm.
and I would say, I mean, that's like the one language that is spoken in most African countries is the perfect language to be spoken in Africa
Hmm.
because it's very close to the Nguni languages, for instance. There
Hmm.
are words that in Kiswahili I recognize because
Hmm.
we are all Bantu, we are all,
Hmm.
we came from the same line.
Hmm.
I'll tell you why that is important. The
Hmm.
reason that you get things like xenophobia, you get things like tribal wars, is because we think we're different. So
Hmm.
factor, if you have one uniting factor, which is a particular language, it will be easy for us to travel. People resonate with what they know, right?
Right.
If for us as South Africans, we're closed in. We never had a culture of traveling, right? We need to travel outside of South Africa. Mozambique is across the border. Why aren't we crossing the border to going to Mozambique? Mozambique has pristine beaches, some beautiful, beautiful homes along the beach. It has like some, I remember going there and these women baking bread along the side of the road, and the bread just tastes so good. That's one thing I remember about
Hmm.
Mozambique. We need those types of experiences, not just about South Africa. I mean, there are people that are born in Durban, they die in Durban, they never go anywhere else. What traveling does, it opens your mind. It opens your mind so that the next time you encounter somebody that is unlike you, you would have compassion, you would have understanding, you would look at them differently. Why? Because if you go to another country and you are treated in a hospitable manner, you will be much more receptive when other people come to your country. As I'll give you an example, as a people, like as a person who is a Zulu person, when we grew up,
Hmm.
if you are, the people that would travel long distances from village to village, whether they are messengers or whether they are
Right. Right. Right.
you know,
Hmm.
they are traditional healers or they were whatnot.
Hmm.
If it was dark, you would knock at a house along the side of the road, and there's a greeting that you would say to for so that the people in the household know that you're a stranger, and they will
Hmm.
open the door and they will offer you a place to sleep and they will offer you food and you will be housed and you will move on. That is who we are as a people. So when we lose that part of our culture, is that's when we start seeing other people as foreigners. Why? Because that part of us, your Ubuntu, that says, I can't be okay if my neighbor is not okay, is gone. So once we lose that, we lose ourselves. So if we're able to visit each other's countries, we open our minds to things that are different to us. We get to share. But what is important for me, we get to trade because I think we should be trading amongst each other.
Hmm.
China is colonizing Africa today in 2021. Why? Because if we were smart as Africans, we could be trading with each other. There is nothing that is new that China is bringing, except
Nothing.
except for sex of money, right?
Hmm.
But if we
Hmm.
were strategic as Africans and built from what we have, we would not need anybody.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. Are you familiar with I Love Being Black? You know, there's a brother I know. He runs this movement called I Love Being Black. You know,
Mm.
he promotes traveling, black traveling,
Yep.
and I think you guys share the same thought when it comes to that. You know, I
We
think it's
need to do
brilliant.
that. We
Mm-hmm.
need to do that more. We need to get. I don't want to sound racist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I my I grew up under apartheid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in as much as I don't hate white people, I believe all of us, are created by God. We are all equal. My mindset, I'm geared towards thinking for black people. There is a reason why I was born black. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't make excuses about prioritizing black people.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that as a disclaimer to say I believe that African Americans should travel more and go see Africa for what it is. We need their American dollars to be ingested in our economies.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I'm not saying white people shouldn't come. Of
Yeah,
course,
we're
white
not
people
saying that.
have been
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, white people have been coming. White people can do whatever they please. But I
Mm-hmm.
think as a people, as a race, we should have a concerted effort to wear black brands,
Mm-hmm.
buy black products, just as something that we decide, like on a day-to-day basis. If it was up to me, I would wear everything from head to toe from black brands because that's something that I aspire to do. Why? I have a brand that I wish people would buy. So I need to be buying from other people. But why should I give Gucci money? Gucci, they have a lot of money. Not to say when you see me wearing a Gucci belt that I can buy a Gucci belt, but I still should buy a a Ayanda Makibi or all
Yeah.
these Asanda why am I butchering this person's brand? Oh my goodness. I should buy a Batushu. I should buy all these black brands that are out there because if we as black people don't buy from our own, how do these products get to sustain themselves if we don't buy them?
Wow.
Yes.
5 great people that you would like to have dinner with.
Oh yes, I had to think about that one. For different reasons. Yes, I do have my 5 great
Mm.
leaders. First of all, it would be Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
Nelson Mandela, because as a person,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I grew up in apartheid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have found that I've had to forgive a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think he would teach me a thing or two about forgiveness.
Mm.
Um, as in my I'm at an age now
That's
where
a big one.
yes, where I'm finding I have to forgive myself
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of things that I did not know, right, and how I was in the absence of that knowledge. When you make mistakes and you're like, oh, that was a bummer, and then you beat yourself up about it. I need to forgive myself for the things that I didn't know. I need to forgive myself for the things that I did that have had repercussions in my own life. So forgiveness is one thing I'm battling with. I need to um, you know, forgive white people, for instance. I need to forgive white people so that each time a person that has a paler skin says something that I associate with racism, I don't ascribe that meaning to what happened to me in the past. So I'm grappling a lot with forgiveness in my life, in my healing journey, in my spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to have dinner with him around that issue because I think
Wonderful.
I think if I was in his shoes, I don't know, I would have been the way that he was. I'm not saying he was a perfect human being, but there are things that I could learn from his path. Second person is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is a peak because um, of the company that he created. I'm an Apple geek, serious Apple geek. I love everything Apple, like as you can tell,
Okay,
everything
okay.
is, everything is Apple. But it's not
Mm,
because their type of brand. I like the way that they manufacture their products, even their
mm,
packaging. When you open an Apple product and you open their packaging,
mm.
I'm fascinated with the packaging, with the design and the simplicity, and the
The
functionality.
simplicity.
Yeah, the simplicity, the functionality, the packaging of the entire thing. His sense of innovation. I would love to pick his brain around that. Steve Jobs, and third person would be Oprah Winfrey.
Hmm.
Oprah Winfrey, basically to just first of all to thank her because I
I just think that Oprah is going to be wearing one of your products pretty soon. I just think so.
to God's
Yes.
ears, to God,
Yes. Yeah.
to God's ears. To
Yes.
thank her, to thank her.
Mm.
First of all, because I'm not Christian. I'm not religious.
Mhm.
So I grappled with that thing of having spiritual gifts, especially the gift of prayer and not being religious.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I always say I graduated from the School of Opera when I was starting with my journey
Uh-huh.
in the mid 90s. She was one of the people that I watched religiously that helped me unpack the spirituality that is not based on organized religion.
Mm.
So it's just to thank her for the things that she said that resonated with me, that made me okay to be who I am and to think the way that I think. One of the most important books that I ever read was by Neil Donald Walsh.
Mhm.
The book is called Conversations with God. It's a series of 3 books. There's book
Mhm.
one, book two, book three.
Mhm.
I, I read book one. I actually first heard about it from one of Oprah's show. I read book one and I was liberated because for once here was a person that um, talked about addressing God the way that I look at God. I don't look at God as this arbitrary figure somewhere in the sky. I
Okay.
look at God as a person that I have a one-on-one relationship with,
Mm.
that
Mm.
if I'm pissed off about things that are going wrong in my life, I can just be saying, fuck this shit. He knows I'm thinking it. So you know what I mean? He knows
Yeah.
I'm thinking it. So
Right.
I'm not afraid to be chastised by a God, because if God is giving me free will, why can't I be myself with what I believe to be God?
Mm. Mm.
So my journey with the spirituality, even though my gifts are rooted in my African tradition, but in the overall sphere of things, and now based on where I am, based on where I'm practicing as a spiritual healer, it
Mm.
made sense for me to go through the School of Opera, for me to have a language to
Mm.
pass on the message that I have to pass on to people that are in this culture.
Mm.
So when I was in South Africa watching the opera show religiously, I did not know that there was a bigger plan behind it, that it now puts me in a situation where I'm able to speak in a language that people understand,
Mm.
because there was that global movement
Mm.
that was a part of my upbringing, and she was responsible for it.
Love it.
And then number three,
Mm.
it would be my spiritual mother who passed, my first spiritual mother who passed.
Mm.
My goodness, I she was borrowed to me for 8 years, and she walked along this spiritual journey with me. But she said a lot of things that now I found to be profound in terms of, she was very prophetic in terms of what my gifts are and what's going to happen to me and all of this and all of that. And finally, years later, all these things are happening one by one, one by one. I wish I could just have here with me with a cup of tea for us to talk about all these things and be able to say, you know what?
Uh-huh.
You remember when you were saying this, when you were saying this, when you were saying this, look at this and this and this and this that is happening now. Because she is the one that got the dream from from my grandmother. My grandmother, when she said I should take things from the Zulu culture and bring them here. She came through my spiritual mother in a dream. So now to have this business, be what it is now, something that she was a conduit in passing the message to me, it's something that I would really love to sit down with her and be like, can you believe God? Can you believe
Yes.
how far this journey has gone?
Uh-huh.
And the last person, it would be Shaka Zulu.
Shaka Zulu.
Yes, Shaka
The
Zulu,
great.
Shaka Zulu the Great. Shaka
Hmm.
Zulu, because Shaka Zulu has been misrepresented in the world. People know Shaka Zulu as this guy who was, you know, cruel, killed people for sport, wara wara wara. Shaka Zulu, my beliefs about nation building specifically come a little bit from the teachings of Shaka Zulu. What Shaka was wanting to do, not when he was going around conquering nations, he was building a one huge black nation, right? Which is what I think we should be, this one huge black nation.
Right.
Because when those wars were happening, it wasn't about killing you because he was trying to do a thing called nation building, right? And because he was trying to do that, when his story now was told, it was like, okay, this is somebody that had a god complex, or he had an ego. He was trying to no, he was trying to do a united black nation, because when the wars were being fought in those particular times, where the conquered nations, they would come in and be integrated into this one big nation that has conquered them, and they would not be treated as slaves. The resources were shared. Why? Because it was a sense of nation building. So those are the heroes that I look up to. That it's not just about, you know, I'm Bedi, I'm Zulu, I'm Tswana, I'm this. Yes, we can differ because we have different cultures, we have different languages. But all in all, we are African. I believe, that's what I believe from what I know, that he was trying to build an African nation that I still think is possible, even though we have 54 countries. 54 countries can decide to have an understanding that is Afrocentric, and nobody can tell us anything about that.
Wow. Beautiful. I love your five, man. So uh my sister, your message of hope.
Message of hope revolves around that African unity. African unity. My message of hope, I pray for, especially for my country, because I see a lot of things that are happening in South Africa that you know are not so nice to see. So I always pray for my country, but most importantly, I pray for African leaders. One, to recognize that as a continent, we are a majestic people. We deserve leadership that puts people first. My message of hope is for African unity. If Africans can unite wherever we are, if we can decide to put ourselves first and forget about the rest of the world, nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about us. We were colonized, we were enslaved, everything has been done to us. Can we stand up for ourselves, for each other, and with each other, and build each other up wherever we are in the world.
That's a message of hope. That gives me hope. Um, so can you talk about where people can find you, uh, if they're looking to
I'm
connect
online. Yeah.
connect with you, get some stuff from you. So when is the rest of the stuff coming, like as far as clothes are concerned, like next year or?
Okay. Yeah. We
Mhm,
the store is closed temporarily because I'm traveling. But
mhm,
I'm online. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on, not so much on Twitter. Twitter
mhm,
is a medium that just is just too
mhm,
fast for
mhm,
me in terms of business.
mhm,
I'm on LinkedIn personally.
mhm.
The shop is on Etsy.
Okay.
Uh, we are, working hard to fill the shop back up.
Mhm,
But we are doing that not in a fast way, because what happened was the whole revisitation of that Viola Davis experience found us when we were rebranding. So the process of rebranding is still happening, because we want to include the clothing, and then
mhm,
the other aspects that I was telling you about. That
mhm,
it's not just going to be a brand that is just about fashion. It's just going to be a cultural brand that brings in different aspects of culture. So that whole rebranding process is going to happen in stages, but we haven't stopped selling whatever is there, and whatever they are making is coming in bits and pieces. But we will probably relaunch sometime next year and rebrand, new logo, new positioning now, because we'll have other products associated with the brand.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you for gracing our show today. It has been beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you even for your interest in our story. It always humbles me when people believe that our story is worth to be told. So I appreciate the platform and the chance to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.